The Bible was written many thousands of years ago in ancient Africa by a nation of people known as the Israelites, who were black people. And this document was written over a period of several thousand years, and it's several thousand years old. And the language of our ancestors, black ancestors in this part of Africa, was Hebrew. So these scriptures were a code of conduct and ethic and morality and spirituality to take the black collective to a higher threshold, which is what we're trying to get to now with this whole Mgbrow movement. And I want to say again, peace to Ibmor, because we have so much work to do together, a lot of work to do together. So this information, or these writings are very prophetic, and they are the most accurate detailing or chronicling of history, of world history. And when the white man, the Romans, who are the Italians, came into ancient Africa, ancient northeastern Africa, which is Jerusalem, they chased out our ancestors, and then they fled from the northeastern tip of Africa down all the way into the heart of Africa, first through Egypt and then southward and then southwestward. So by the time the Edomites or the Europeans came and captured our people and put them in slavery, when you look at the records of the slave trade and all of the cataloging of the slaves, they all had Hebrew names. Don't believe me? Check it out. Check it out for yourself. Look at the names. Most of their names had Yah in it, which was a reflection of the Heavenly Father. So I'm saying all this to say that this book was the sacred documents of our kingdom. And in the Bible it says that Jehovah made us a nation of kings and priests. So if we're a nation of kings and priests, that means we need to be sovereign. We need black sovereignty, like we need water. So by the time these Europeans or Edomites or the white man beat us, beat the history out of us, beat the language out of us, beat the culture out of us, and brainwashed us, then they gave us an English translation. Well, they really didn't even give it to us. But what they did was they appointed coons and called them pastors and appointed them over us and gave us English translations of our already Hebrew documents in scriptures. We didn't know English. So they beat our history, our names, our language, and our culture out of us, and then gave us something in English, and then bastardized it and put the face of a white man named Caesar Borgia as the face of the Messiah, or the Christ, as they said. And they did this because they know that you are kings. And if you are kings and you come back into this knowledge, then you would seek sovereignty right away. And if we seek sovereignty as black men, what does that leave white America? It leaves them as a country no different than Poland, Scotland, Ireland, all these savage wastelands that pretty much produce nothing but maybe potatoes. And see, they know that where they come from in white history pretty much has produced nothing but death. Now, the only thing they have built are weapons, and that's it. Everything else they have stolen. So we should be sovereign because we are a nation of kings, black men. And as we come into the history, the knowledge of our history, then we can apply it to our present and then unfold future prophecies, which is, a day that they're really, really, really dreading. And so, that being the case, we need sovereignty. We need to continue to pull away from the European, from the white man, and from this system, and from all of those black people who support this system. They're not for us. They are for maintaining this kingdom, which is an oppression and a state of hell for us as black men. Okay? So if we are a nation of kings, why do we need white approval? Why do we need female approval? Kings set the rules. Kings establish empires. Kings build. Kings actually even go to war. The king is nothing more than, in a lot of cases, the head warrior of a nation. We are the head warriors of this nation, black men. You brothers here that I'm speaking to, you represent the highest intellectual and spiritual group of black men on the internet, bar none. And that's why they want you so bad. But I'm here to tell you that we are to be sovereign. We need to establish a government among ourselves as black men. And some of you may think it's impossible, but I'm telling you it is highly possible if we use the same records that our forefathers wrote to show us how to establish righteous, divine government. All we can ever be here is a nation of slaves. Subservient men, powerful in mind and in body, but shut down to the spirit. And so, black men, you know how much we have created here in this country, because now we are under the oppression of these white people and we are not being sovereign for ourselves. We have built the entire wealth of this Western Hemisphere and of the world, and especially America. I'm going to tell you a list of several black male inventors, black men, who invented all of the greatest feats of this modern age and this modern technology that we receive none of the credit for. And as I start to tell you the names of some of these men, you probably would assume that they were white or Asian, because that's the state of mind that they want us to be in. All right? So the first man, his name is Dr. Henry T. Sampson. Dr. Henry T. Sampson. Do you know what Dr. Henry T. Sampson invented? He invented the cell phone back in the 70s. This great black man invented what almost every person in America owns. Adult and children have cell phones. And we pay our bills to Sprint, to Verizon, to AT&T, and all these different companies, Metro, PCS, and the like. And we can't even get our face as a mascot on a commercial. And they will never mention that Dr. Sampson created the cell phone, yet every time they show inventors in lab coats on television, they always show a white man or Asian. Maybe a black woman here and there, but you and me, they leave out, because we're a nation of kings. And if we wake up to the knowledge that we are the kings of the Bible, what need do we have to be here in America? We are the engine that runs this country. Dr. Henry T. Sampson. I'm going to put a link there in the description for you to learn your history in this modern time, that we invent everything here and get none of the credit. And they brainwash us into thinking that, it's an Asian or European. The next brother who's a king in his field, his name is Philip Emeagwali. This brother was born in Nigeria. And guess what he created? that, we never received proper credit for. This brother, this Nigerian brother, is the inventor of the internet. He is the inventor of the internet, and he also he created also artificial intelligence. Do you know what that means, black man? Do you know the depth of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and greatness that is in us that we have used to build up everybody else's nation, everybody else's kingdom, except for our own? We are the only people without a land, and Israel is the only land without a real people, and that's why they're continually fighting over it, because it's a land to which none of the people there own. That's why they're constantly fighting over it, and we are the people without a land, because that's our home. And so as we return to the knowledge of who we are, it begins to solve the problems that we have as black men in this country, in the Caribbean, and around the world. And we now need to really begin to structure this space for black male thought, intellect, experiences, and brotherhood. That's not a space for black women, white men, or anybody else. This is a space for black men. And as we begin to establish this, we can begin to re-establish our proper place in the earth as kings. And I want to recognize our Latin brothers and sisters who know what time it is. A lot of them don't know what time it is, and don't know that they come from black men, because they have been whitewashed as well. But shout out to all the Latino brothers who know what time it is. So the internet was created by Philip Emeagwali, all right, and artificial intelligence. The next man I want to mention, his name is Dr. Mark Dean. Now, as I'm mentioning all these things, just think of what the concepts in your mind when you hear these different technologies, who subconsciously you picture in your mind. It's not yourself, but you are a king. We are kings, and kings must be sovereign. Kings must take our own. We have to take our own resources, our own intellect, our own spirituality, our own strength, and we must use it to build our house and our kingdom. We have spent over 400 years building up the kingdom of another who has absolutely no respect for us. Now, it's been enough time, brothers, you have seen now how many white Mgbrow call you nigger. They call me nigger. They call us nigger. They call Black Ram nigger. Sexy Mgbrow called Black Ram a nigger for just stating that black men should have a space for ourselves to discuss our own issues. And he did so with class, with intellect, and showing respect to white Mgbrow. And the best they can do is call him a nigger for it. And so why do we need to continue to seek the validation of people who think this? And when they called him nigger, when Sexy Mgbrow called Black Ram nigger, he called us niggers. He called you a nigger, and he called me a nigger, because they called our brother Black Ram a nigger. So we must become sovereign, and as we become sovereign, we don't need to allow these white men into our spaces. So as they come here, because they can't create, they can't build anything. I just showed you two right now of the highest intellectual properties of this time: the internet, the cell phone. They never created it. This brother, Dr. Mark E. Dean, he is the inventor of the personal computer. If it was not for a black man, there would be no personal computer. So he created the personal computer and also helped in creating the gigahertz microchip. So he created microchips, and you would probably think of Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. but a black man, Dr. Mark Dean, created it. How come they're not mentioned during Black History Month? Why are we constantly fed Dr. Martin Luther, quote unquote, King? Because Dr. King was no king. He was a coon and a step and fetcher and a monkey and a servant who suppressed black male rulership and black kingdom building. He taught us integration when we should have been seeking separation. We should have been seeking sovereignty. Malcolm X spoke sovereignty. He was much greater than Martin Luther King ever could hope to be. But now, with the truth and the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from on high put inside of you, we can be greater than those men. All of us. A nation of kings and priests. So when they call, this man called, what a sexy MGTOW called Black Ram nigga, he called all of us nigga. So we no longer need to be discussing our business, black men's business with white men, whether they mean good or not. And they don't mean good. The majority of them won't mean good. But even those who do, the few of them who do, it's none of their business. We need to become sovereignty. And that means that you need to love your brother as yourself. And I'll tell you, black man, I love you, as a brother and as a man. And many of us have never even heard these words from another black man. Some of us never even heard them from our fathers, grandfathers, uncles, so forth. But I'm here to tell you, as your brother, I love you. I love you like I love myself. And I want the best for you as I want for me. And we must begin to establish a code to develop our own sovereignty. We cannot have sovereignty with every man doing his own thing. We have to have a common code. We have to have common ideals. We have to have common rules to live by, to govern ourselves by, to hold ourselves to. Or else how could we expect our women to be held to any standard? If we're not held to a common standard, how righteous would it be of us to get upset when these wayward, porous black women do what they do? They're following their own rules. They're not following the code of righteousness and the standard. So they're all whores now. And they are loyal to no one, and they are subject to no one. And that's what we become if we do not adhere to a single common code. The last brother I want to mention, his name is HARLO, MAYNE, and this brother is a Jamaican. So this is a shout out to all the brothers and sisters from the islands and from the Caribbean. You know what this brother has created that he gets no publicity for? He's created a device that turns regular water, regular tap water, into gas for a car. Totally eliminating the need for fuel. Where you can have your own car running on gas and it actually cleans the engine as well. It cleans the engine and makes the car run smoother just on water alone. A black man in Jamaica have invented this. And you don't hear about it. And they constantly oppress us so that we can never think highly of ourselves, so that we can never recognize each other as brothers for our accomplishments. The only accomplishments they want us to recognize is what we do in the music industry or in sports and entertainment. And I'm telling you that we're even so much greater than just that. And that's not to cast a shadow on our brothers who do great feats in those areas, because that's an important and needed area as well. But we're more than just athletes and entertainers. We are inventors. We are kings. Exodus 19:5. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words that thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And these are the words that I'm speaking to you, brothers. We are a nation of kings and priests. We are a sovereign people, and we can never fulfill our destiny as long as we remain subservient and as long as we deny each other as brothers and seek white validation. The extent to which we seek white validation, or even black female validation, the extent to which we seek after these things is the extent to how far we will always be to true brotherhood and sovereignty. The amount of time and energy and resources that you place in chasing worthless black women and white validation and approval will always be a direct reflection of how far we are from brotherhood and sovereignty. So now we must seek sovereignty. And now I've given you several examples of black men who have created and invented, with the very least, and have created things that have changed the world and have impacted the entire world stage. And we won't receive credit or due for these things as long as we remain divided.